Yes lads, Vaily here. So as you can tell by the title and the thumbnail, we've got a 4-4-2 formation breakdown. Now this is something I did about a year ago now, but I sort of stopped doing. But I want to start again. Basically the formation breakdowns consist of me providing 4 or 5 sort of custom tactics you could use with a formation to implement into your game plans and stuff like that. I won't use them all because obviously you need to have different approaches with different formations with different scenarios in the game. So I'd maybe take 1 or 2, but all of them are usable, and I've tried and tested and they do work, and some of them better than others, but we'll get to that when it comes to it. But also I sort of give player recommendations for certain positions. Now a lot of sort of the defenders will always be the same, so I'll have a separate video with like the best right backs, best left backs, best centre backs, all that sort of stuff in the game. But it's mainly in this sort of formation, the 2 centre mids, the 2 wide players, and then them 2 strikers, what we'll be focusing on when it comes to the players, because like I said, the back 4, it doesn't really change much from formation to formation. Maybe like a narrow, it might change a little bit on the fullbacks. A 3-5-2, it'll probably change on a centre back sort of thing. So yeah, hopefully you enjoyed the video. If you do, leave a like. And yeah, let's get into the custom tactics. So then, we got 5 custom tactics with the 4-4-2. The first one is sort of a balanced approach. I personally use this one. I really like the 4-4-2. I use this to start games with. Width and depth are on 4-4. Now, the reason I lower the width by 1 is just because fullbacks are a bit brain dead on this game. You often find them really far out wide or really like tight inside. I'd rather my fullback be tight inside and able to make the run out to a winger than, let's say, my fullback be really wide, maybe hugging the sideline, and then not able to come in and support the centre backs, or just one threaded through ball pass, his attacker runs in and it's game over. The depth I keep on 4. Now I think this is a decent depth because you're not too far back to the point where you can't press your opponent high, but you're not too high up that there's massive gaps between the defence and midfield, because that's the thing with 4-4-2. You don't have that holding defensive mid. It's just a flat what's it called, flat 4 in the middle, and then 2 centre mids. They're not going to be just sitting all game. So that's sort of what, when we get to it, sort of players I'd use in the centre mid positions. I'll name a few, and that's why, because you do want them to be able to get up and down the pitch and do a bit of everything, both defend and attack. One more than another, but like I said, we'll get to that. When it comes to the offensive style, we have a balanced 5 width, 4 players in the box. That is your 2 strikers. Corners and free kicks are always preference, but for my main team I use these because then I have VVD, CR7 and Varane in the middle. But this is a very good sort of attacking style as well, because when you get a bit of a better feel for the game and stuff, balance works in my opinion the best, because you can manipulate it so you can play fast build up with balance, but you can also play possession, you can play long ball sort of thing. Especially if the off the ball creative runs this year, you can play like the long ball tactic very easily just by unbalanced. But we do have long ball tactics on some of the game plans, which we'll get to in a sec. But when it comes to the instructions for this one, I obviously have the fullbacks and stay back while attacking, and have the run types on overlap. Now the reason I have this is if they do join the attack, I don't want them having inverted runs. I want them to be overlapping my wide player to create an overload on the wings, not coming inside and maybe congesting even the middle of the park, where I want maybe a bit of space, and maybe my striker can come and receive the ball, turn and pass out, sort of thing. The 2 centre mids though, we have stay back while attacking, cover centre. In previous years, like last year, I'd have this on balanced, but seeing as this is more of a balanced sort of tactic and not, I'm going to get in your face and I'm going to just outscore you, straight up tactic, we have it on just both of them stay back. Now you'll still find one of them, and especially your more attacking centre mid, will still get up the pitch quite a bit and support the strikers, which is obviously very, very handy, and I personally enjoy that a lot. and then you often find your other one stays back. Now, personally, I have the right centre mid my right centre mid as my more defensive one, as I find they stay back a lot more than my left centre mid. But it's all preference, you can play about with it. But for both the wingers, I have come back on defence and get into the box. Now, the reason I have this is I want them to support me in my defensive, on my defensive efforts to try and get the ball back, and then they can also break quickly. And the get into the box is just in case one of the strikers isn't in there, or if I want that back post run. Because like I said, fullbacks are a bit brain dead. So for example, I have Rashford as my right mid. So say I have Mbappe on the left and he runs down. If Rashford makes a run back post, he can easily get a header and score, because he is pretty tall and stuff. But my two strikers, I have get in behind and stay forward. Now, the reason for this is, you know how good through balls are on this game. If you don't, then I don't think you played enough. Literally, one through ball and you can just be through on goal. You can literally play it from your centre back right through to your striker, and it can be a goal. It's ridiculous, but the getting behind just make sure they get them runs in, and the stay forward is because I don't want them dropping back, because I already have my wingers dropping back. So, I just personally prefer to have the two up top, so I can maybe play quick combinations, 1-2s, get one in behind quickly on a counter attack and stuff like that. So that was sort of the balanced one. Now, we'll go on to the ultra defensive one. Now, this is one, if you want to go to this formation and hold a lead, go with this. Personally, I wouldn't go with the 4-4-2 if you want to hold a lead. I'd either go with the 4-4-1-1, 4-2-3-1, or a 5-back. We'll do formation breakdowns, obviously, on all of them sort of things. I'm going to try and go through a lot of formations this year. But yeah, drop back. The one depth is pretty self-explanatory. You just want everyone behind the ball. You want to hold on to the lead. This is literally if it's like the 85th minute and you just want to hold the ball. Hold the lead and not let your opponent play any through balls or anything. You want as many men behind the ball. The long ball. Again, width on the attack, it doesn't really matter because you're not really going to be attacking much. But the long ball is just so one of your strikers or your wide players, they'll often make that run forward, and it's just an easy, and like it says on the offensive tactic, strikers who are fast with good attacking position and attribute are the best for this tactic. So if you have someone like maybe a Rashford, or like I have a CR7, players like that, and like I said, we'll go through examples of good players per positions. They'll make the good runs, and you can just play a through ball, and you can maybe take it to the corner, kill some time, or even maybe go bag another goal. Corners and free kicks, you obviously want on one because you want as many people behind or as many people back. You're not playing to really score with this tactic, you're playing to hold on. Now, when it comes to obviously fullbacks, I keep on stay back while attacking, you don't want them up. When it comes to the centre mids, again, stay back, you don't want on. I put this one just on stay on the edge, just because I find that you don't really want them. If one of your centre mids for some reason does decide to come up, you don't want him actually pushing into the box. So I just keep him stay on edge. The two wide players, I don't know why that actually has come back on defence, against the box even, but you just want them both to come back on the defensive efforts. You don't want them getting forward at all, really. You just want them to be there for the wing abuse. You don't want to get them into the box. And the two strikers, we just have a mix on everything. You can obviously trigger the runs yourself, but we just have come back. Just like I said, you want as many people behind the ball as possible. Now this one is more of one is, say you're like one up, or and you just want to wing abuse, you just want to wing bash, I'd recommend this. Again, balanced 4-4 for the same reason as the actual balanced one. The first one I did, which I'll classify that as a balanced one. Offensive style though, long ball, like I said, the long ball helps when you just want to wing bash. It'll get people to make the runs in behind, and it's perfect. Just RB triangle, RBY, or R1 triangle, RBY even. Threaded through balls down the line, over the top through balls, anything, and people just get onto them if you have the pace. And long ball is quite effective this year if you sort of know how to use it. And corners, free kicks, obviously preference. When it comes to the player instructions, not too much changes from the balanced one. Stay back, obviously overlap. stay back on both centre mids, cover centre. Again, come back, get into box on both of them. Now the only difference I have here is because this one's a little bit more defensive, I'll keep my left striker, which for me is CR7, on getting behind, stay forward, and I'll put my right striker on false 9 and come back. The false 9 just means they'll drop in a little bit, pick up the ball, and then you can maybe play a through ball to someone else on the wing. So for me, this is Neymar. I personally like the false 9, as it says here, drops into midfield to create attacking space for teammates, and has time and space to dribble. So literally, that's like perfect for Neymar, really, isn't it? It's basically like a cam role, but a centre forward role sort of thing, if that makes any sense. I personally like that though, because then, like I said, you can drop in the pockets, pick up the ball, and play a through pass. Now this is next one is more of how I played last year, and this is if you're maybe a goal or two down and you just want to get aggressive. Put on press on heavy touch, very effective. Literally, your pressing on this game just seems too easy for people who don't really know how to press. But there's nothing wrong with that, really, is there? If you don't know how to press, this is a good way to sort of learn by playing the press. You'll learn over time, how to press with balance by playing on press on heavy, if that makes any sense, because you'll pick up on patterns like player movements and stuff like that. But 5 width, again, 4-5 width don't really make much difference. You want high depth though, because you want that line of engagement to be nice and high. So say they do take a heavy touch, which often happens on this game because touches are awful, passes are awful. They'll literally just swarm them and you'll be nice and high. There won't be too many gaps between your team, and your defensive line will be very high as well. So say they want to play that through pass to get out, you can play an offside trap or something like that, and then they'll be offside. You go have another attack sort of thing. Balanced again, I use this just because personally this is how what works well for me. I like just being able to create my own sort of situations and scenarios, whether that's a long ball or a fast build up and stuff like that, all that sort of stuff. Again, corners preference, but the players in the box 3 just a bit high, because like I said, you'll probably be using this tactic if you're 1 or 2 down, so you want to swarm the box a little bit more. But when it comes to the instructions, we still have stay back, mix attack, overlap. It was supposed to be, I'm not sure why that's changed. But when it comes to your wide players, now we have basic defensive support, but which is different to the other ones, but we keep getting to the box on, mainly because, like I said, you want to swarm the box a little bit more, and you're going to be high up anyway, so you don't really want your wide players dropping too far deep, so that's why I keep it on basic. Now I have my first centre mid on stay back while attacking, cover centre. Again, this is my more defensive one. So for me, this is Renato Sanchez, just because as much as you're still going for it, you don't want them to be too high and completely lose balance of the midfield. Especially when you have your left centre mid on balanced attack. For me, this is Bruno Fernandes. I have default everything, including defensive positioning now. This is mainly because when you play the press, players will often end up out of position, and if my left mid goes, ends up maybe like a striker or something like that from the press, I want to be able to trust my left centre mid to be able to cover the wing and cover that space, especially with how mad wing bashing can be. And then in turn, my players will tuck in and stuff like that. So it works out very nicely. It's pretty similar to last year, my 4-4-2 tactics from last year, this one, which worked very well. And again, getting behind, stay forward. You don't really want your centre mids coming back at all, because you want them to be nice and high. So you can press from the front, and getting behind again for the same reasons as before. Now the final one, this is literally just got to be a go for it formation or tactic even. I personally would go for like a 3-5-2. But for the sake of video, obviously it's a 4-4-2 breakdown with custom tactics and stuff. I'd go full depth, constant press. Now this does work though, the 4-4-2 press, because you literally are pressing sort of with 6 still. Your 2 centre mids, they go up, they go high. Your 2 wide players, they pin their full backs in. Your 2 strikers, they pin their centre backs. So it does work. And again, you play about with it, try it out. It might work. If it does, brilliant. If it doesn't, you can try something else out. Especially with these early stages in the game, you shouldn't really want to be set on some custom tactics. You should always be trying something, see if something works better for you than what you're previously with. You know, it's all about trying to experiment with stuff at this stage. Like I said, the constant press and high depth is literally just because you want to go for it. You want everyone up the pitch as high as possible. The fast build up is just because you want to try and get as many chances as possible. You want your players to be making the runs, coming short for the ball, you know, just trying to get as many attacks in as possible. And offensive, players in the box, you want nice and high so you can, like I said, swarm the box. You can even go all out if you really want. Corners and free kicks you want nice and high as well, just because you want to be able to, again, try and swarm the box. I wouldn't put on 5 though. I'd still keep one man back just to cover the counter attack. Now, when it comes to the instructions, we now have both fullbacks on join the attack and overlap. Again, you want to be able to really help the wingers on the wing. They'll support them very nicely, and by doing so, your wingers might end up cutting it inside a little bit. So you can be playing with, like, it's almost like a 2 or like a 3-4-2 or 3-5-2 anyway. But it is pretty nutty, this tactic when you actually use it. Now this is where it's different. I have my more defensive CDM as drop between the defenders, cover centre. So you are sort of manipulating it to be a bit more like a free back. So like I said, for me, this would be Renato Sanchez. It'd be nice and defensive. So I attack with 7 players, but I still have 3 back to cover the goalkeeper and help in defence. My other centre mid though, I keep on balanced everything and cover centre, just because again, cover wing, cover centre, it doesn't really matter at this point. He's going to be up the pitch regardless. It's on 10 depth. But I keep both my wingers on stay forward, get into the box. So it is sort of like a 4-2-4 almost at this point. And I keep my 2 strikers on getting behind, stay forward, like the other tactics. Now, hopefully some of them you'll find useful. Personally, I think the first one is the most effective at the minute out of all 5. But the attacking one is also very effective if you are down by 1, and so is this defensive one with the long ball strategy. But if you were here for the tactics, I hope you enjoyed it. If you leave a like if you enjoyed it and you find them helpful. But now we're going to jump into some players you could use in these certain positions. Like I said, we'll be doing the midfielders and attackers. So yeah, let's get into that now. So here, as you can see, I've got a kind of wide range of sort of players you could use. Some who are good more for the defensive, some who are better for the attacking roles, some who can do both. So we've got, for example, the inform Renato Sanchez, which is one of the best centre mids in the game, especially for his price. I actually think he's extinct now. Let's have he's either extinct or like 120k or something ridiculous like that. Yeah, he's extinct on the market. I'm not surprised. He's such a good card. I'd highly recommend him if you can get your hands on him. Pogba, this card's a bit iffy at times with the low agility and balance, but he'll definitely do the more offensive centre mid role, and also he's tall. I always try and say you should try and have 1 tall, maybe 1 small centre mids. Taller if you can, obviously, just to try and cover the ground and stuff. But I've also found that 2 small centre mids can still work at times. Another player though, Allen, very solid. I've actually got him untradeable. Very good card though. I've used him a couple times on draft and the Road to Glory and stuff. Valverde, this card is phenomenal. I've used him on my Road to Glory. Very good at, he's very good at going forward and also defensively. Highly recommend him for his price. I think it's like 30k or something. Wijnaldum's another good one, good all-rounder. Same with Marcos Llorente. Fred, very, very good all-round balance card. However, he's a bit on the short side at 5'7". High though, so he can help with the attack and defence. Nainggolan though, this is a card I really do like, especially for his price. Offensively he's phenomenal. Defensively he's sound as well. He's got the physical stats. The only thing he really lacks is the pace, but he has got that new Halloween card, or whatever it's called, rule breaker, server breaker, whatever it is. And Didi as well, he's another good card. Again, more for the defensive role, same with Sissoko. two very strong, tall centre mids, and we finish here with, you know, like a Bruno, De Bruyne. They can play the more offensive roles in them centre mid roles. But yeah, no, these are just a sort of wide variety. Now, some of the key stats I'd say you should look out for. Obviously, when it comes to your offensive players, you're going to want to look for shooting, maybe a bit of pace and stuff like that. But if they're tall, the pace don't matter as much. But definitely the shooting stats you want. Obviously, I'd say you need decent enough passing. Someone like an Ndidi's a bit on the low side, but he's also on the cheap side, and defensively he's phenomenal, so he kind of makes up for that. But some of the key stats I'd definitely say you want to look out for is your short passing, to an extent agility and balance, but again, if they're tall, it sort of makes up for that. Your defensive awareness can be key, especially for your defensive one. But yeah, no, they're just some key stats I'd say to look out for. And yeah, we'll get on to the Y players just now. So with the wingers, there's not too many phenomenal ones, but I tried to keep it, you know, within a sort of budget. There's a couple here, you know, left mids, right mids, which I'd recommend personally having a look at if you've not already considered for your team already, for the 4-4-2 at least. Ousmane Dembele being one of them. Phenomenal card, you know, if you don't know about him or you haven't tried him out, you should. He's like a cheaper Neymar. You can also play the striker role in this 4-4-2 sort of system. The next one, Rashford, he's a phenomenal card again. If you haven't used him, I'd highly recommend trying to afford him. He's phenomenal. Again, he can play the striker role as well as the left mid. Sane, raw pace, you know, the only thing what sort of lets him down is that 3-star weak foot. But he's got the raw pace to just run down that wing, and he's got good shooting stats as well as good dribbling. Saint-Maximin, not the best of shooting, but he's got phenomenal dribbling, really good pace, and obviously he's got the 5-star skills, 4-star weak foot. Coman is another one with just raw pace, you know, good pace, decent enough shooting, good dribbling as well. But when we get onto the right mids again, Bale, strong, even though the 77 strength even doesn't seem too high. His building game and the pace just makes him feel really strong on the ball. Not the best at the dribbling side, but he's got very good finishing stats as well. Lucas Moura, you know, he's a bit of a quicker winger than Bale, not as strong, but a lot better on the ball and not as good at shooting. So, you know, they're sort of two opposite kind of wingers, so it's really just your preference at this point. And another one we've got is Adama now. If you've got Adama, there's only one thing you want to do, and that's just run down that line. Don't, you know, stop for anyone. Just run, accelerated fake shots, get that in speed boosts, and just bully everyone really off the ball. You know, these are just some wingers. Obviously, the wingers on this game aren't the best, but it is what it is at this point. We'll get on some strikers now. Obviously, I could put in your CR7s, you know, your Mbappe's and stuff like that. I won't do that. We'll use some more sort of affordable ones for a lot of you guys maybe watching at home within maybe like the 100k to sort of 1 million budget in terms of your actual squads. But yeah, no, let's get into that in just a sec. Right then, so finishing up with the strikers. Again, there's some players here who could potentially play on the wing for you, like Martial, Depay, Aubameyang. But there's a nice sort of variety in sort of styles here. So someone like a Ben Yedder, he could sort of play both the strikers. He's got a 5-star weak foot, you know, everyone knows he's a little rat, especially to play against. I hate him. He's got the decent pace, very good finishing stats, good shot power, very agile and good on the ball. Everyone knows Ben Yedder, man. He's a little rat to play against. Now Martial, again, someone who can play on the wing, either as a right or left mid, but also works very well down the middle. Good dribbling stats, good shooting stats, good pace, decent enough strength as well, and decent enough stamina. Rodrigo, very, very good card. He's a very hyped card as well. Obviously had his one to watch and stuff. He's got the finesse shot trait as well, which is very nice. As long as 4-star skills, 3-star weak foot isn't the nicest to have, but weak foot doesn't really seem to matter much on this game, if I'm honest. You can see 3-star weak foot players banging in shots with their weak foot from like 80 yards out. It's ridiculous. Griezmann, now this is more sort of your intricate kind of structure. Say you wanted to use the tactic with a false 9. This would be a decent one because he'll be decent at coming into the pockets, picking up the play, linking, you know, midfield to attack sort of thing, or getting it out to the wingers. But also he's got very good finishing stats, so if he gets in front of goal, he will score, I'd say, more often than not. But yeah, like I said, very good dribbling stats as well, so that'll help him feel a bit quicker, especially on the ball. He has got the 4-star skills and 3-star weak foot. Again, weak foot not ideal, but like I said, it doesn't matter as much on this game. Next we have Aubameyang. Again, this would just be one of the more direct ones. So I'd say he'd be more suited to that left striker role. Again, just getting behind, run, pace. He hasn't got amazing dribbling stats, but that kind of makes up for the high pace he's got, good shooting and decent enough strength as well. The next one we got is Richarlison. Now again, this is sort of a cheaper one. He's got 4-star skills, 5-star weak foot, which is a very nice combo to have. He isn't the best with his acceleration, but his sprint speed sort of makes up for that a little bit. Acceleration is sort of the more key stat out of the two, but he's still a very good striker with the decent enough shooting stats as well, with like 82 finishing, 82 shot power, decent enough dribbling for how much you're paying. He's like, what, 3-4k, something like that. He's got good strength, good aggression as well, stuff like that, which is all nice. He could probably play both striker roles as well. Here we have Depay. Like I said, he could probably play on the wing as well, similar to like a Martial. If I was to play him up top though, I'd probably play him in that false 9 sort of role, in that on that right hand side. The weak foot as well, he can't really then finesse it, but he has got the outside the foot trait, which is very handy, considering if you play him on that right hand side, you know, you can just drive it across goal and stuff like that. But the 5-star skills is very nice to have. Here we have Timo Werner, again, just pure pace. He has decent enough dribbling stats, very good shooting. I mean, the skill moves is a little bit of a pain, but he has got 4-star weak foot, but he is a very, very good card and very clinical. And finally we have Dybala. Again, he's more sort of suited to that false 9 role on that right hand side. He has got, he's obviously left footed, so he can cut in and finesse, and he has got finesse shot trait, but also has the outside the foot trait. Like I said though, decent enough pace, or very good pace even, good shooting stats, very, very good dribbling stats. Just isn't the strongest, but yeah, no, a very good player regardless. So yeah, that was the 4-4-2 sort of custom tactics and formation breakdown, with some players, you know, for the centre mids, wide players and attackers. Like I said, I'll try and get, you know, the best sort of players for the defence, you know, just for like a standard 4-back formation. I'll try and get, you know, the best fullbacks, best centre backs. I'll try and get videos out for that very soon. Yeah, like I said, if you did enjoy the video, do leave a like. Comment any formations you want me to break down in the near future. Subscribe if you are new, and I'll catch you boys in a bit.